To the NBA Outlet presented by OTGBasketball.com. Make sure you follow OTG on Twitter at OTGBasketball. Also hit that subscribe button. I'm your host, Nick Fay. With me, as always, on the NBA Outlet, my guy, Corey Waldron. How you doing, Corey?
Pretty good, Nick. It's Sunday and I actually don't have a hangover, so I'm feeling good.
Kind of switch spots. Usually you're the one not feeling too good on Sundays. Today, I'm the one with a hangover, so you might have to carry the load a little bit today.
Injured reserve.
Injured, yeah. I'm not 100%, but let's talk about some teams that are playing 100% right now. We're going to talk about some of the top teams in the NBA record-wise, the East, the West. But let's start with the Boston Celtics. We expected them to be a really good team going into the season, but then they lose their all-star player Gordon Hayward early on. Al Horford missed some time already. Celtics are a 12-game winning streak, and they have the best record in the NBA.
And they won again today without Kyrie against the Raptors in a close 95-94 win. They got Horford back, but yeah, Nick, the Celtics, it doesn't really matter who's in for them. They seem to just keep plugging away. I guess that speaks bounds to their defense. We know Brad Stevens is a very good defensive-minded coach, already proven from these first couple of years in the NBA. And they lose Gordon Hayward, and they don't really skip a beat. They lose Horford, they don't skip a beat, and they lose Kyrie, and they don't skip a beat. So at this point in time, the Celtics are definitely a team that you got to be worried about.
What you just said, I think, are really big for their success. Number one, Brad Stevens, and we'll talk about him in a sec. And then number two, the defense. Being in the league, a lot of guys that can compete, a good defensive scheme, and they just make it hard on everybody. And they've shut down some of the top players in the league this year.
And shout out to the young guys. Terry Rozier has been playing very good. Jaylen Brown has been phenomenal. And as a rookie, Jason Tatum, you can't, besides Ben Simmons, you can't really say there's another rookie playing as good as Jason Tatum right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned they won today. He had a big bucket late in that game against the Raptors. So, stepping up, even some of the role guys, that are on the bench, that like the Theis, and just a lot of good play from a lot of different players. And that goes, the front office picking up good players, it's coaching. Getting a young team like this to play such great defense, and the best in the league, is extremely tough to do, especially when you lose an all-star like Gordon Hayward. It hurts the confidence of the whole team, and he's done a great job of steadying the ship. And
I believe they still have the best defensive rating in the NBA as well, with right around, I think, 94.7% is their defensive rating.
Is really good for right now, especially at the pace the league is playing at. The defensive rating, a lot of these teams' defensive ratings are well over 100. So to play the defense they are is amazing. But let's talk about another team in the East that's been a pretty big surprise. I mean, we expected them to probably be a playoff team or at least compete, and that's the Detroit Pistons. Another team that played today, they just picked up another win, 10-3 stuff, and they have a lot of guys who are rebounding from rough seasons. Andre Drummond's playing great. Reggie Jackson's playing great. Tobias Harris taking his game to another level. Avery Bradley, it's been a nice addition.
Yeah, I hate Detroit. Flat out, I hate Detroit. From all time being a Pacer fan, them beating us up. The Reggie Miller layup at the end of the game with Taron Prince, blocked him was one that sticks out in memory. But they're playing, like you said, Andre Drummond can hit free throws. So now you can play him late into games because he actually has confidence in his free throw ability. Like you said, Reggie Jackson has been healthy. Even though Reggie Jackson is still in rumors, the Pistons still doesn't look like they're sold on Reggie Jackson. But the one plus side is to him playing so well, his value right now is definitely raised. And then Tobias Harris, I have him in fantasy, and he's been killing it for me all year. He's been solid.
And like we said, some of these guys are playing just great. Like Andre Drummond, you mentioned his free throw percentage all the way up to 64% when it was under 40 for 2 years. That's a huge jump, and now he actually can play. He also leads the NBA in rebound percentage, which is huge. And you mentioned Tobias Harris. He's just been efficient. He's been dominating, and he leads the league in turnover percentage, 5%. So it's just great stuff from him. Like I said, Avery Bradley was a good addition, and they're just a good team effort. They're hitting you from a lot of angles.
And it's good because I really like Van Gundy. His time in Orlando was kind of, it's overshadowed by the end of the Dwight Howard era and kind of how that all ended. But he's a very good coach. Yes, he's very fiery, but I like coaches that are very fiery. And Van Gundy has one of the better teams he's had in recent memory.
What do you think about the Pistons? Do you think that they're going to stay at this level, or we expect them to really cool down?
I'm going to say they stay at this level, only because, I mean, last year for the most part, the biggest issue was the health issues. I love the addition of Avery Bradley. I know you mentioned him just a few seconds ago, and I didn't touch on him. But Avery Bradley is a step up from KCP. KCP is a very streaky scorer, shooter. He plays good defense, but Avery Bradley, as we know, is one of the top defenders in the league, if not the best perimeter guard defender in the league. He's a good spot-up three shooter. He can do some things offensively, and I think it's a clear upgrade over KCP. And then you add a guy like Reggie Jackson who had knee tendonitis all last year, healthy. Tobias Harris looks better. Andre Drummond shooting 64% from the free throw line. And you still got some nice, Ish Smith has been solid. I really like what they have in Detroit.
Yeah, we mentioned Avery Bradley. Not only is he bring something on the court, I think having a veteran like him around kind of helps too. And like you said, the health. Reggie Jackson's healthy. He's helped his value. Andre Drummond's healthy, and Tobias Harris is stepping up. So I think a little bit because they're all playing so great, and they're likely that somebody gets hurt, but knock on wood. But I still think they're going to be better than probably what we anticipated coming to the season.
Yeah, I don't think I had them as a lock to be in the playoffs before the season started.
Me neither.
And I think now they've at least solidified that they'll be, anywhere from a 4 to an 8 seed. I don't think they'll be a top 3 seed because I still think a team that's sitting at 11th in the conference is going to make a rise.
For sure. I think they're locked for the playoffs now. So that's always exciting stuff. A lot can still happen. I've only seen a little bit, but the way they're playing and the effort they're putting on both ends of the floor, I think they're top 10 in offensive and defensive rating. So I think number 8 and number 9, good stuff. But let's move over to the Western Conference. Teams are the teams we expect to be at the top. The Warriors and the Rockets. Let's start with the Rockets, though. The first game of the season, they get the win over Golden State. Chris Paul goes down. People are a little concerned, what's going to happen. A monster. He is just dominating right now, and he's been a huge person. I think over the last 3 games, James Harden has been responsible for 215 points. And on those passes to his teammates on potential field goals, they're shooting of 72%.
That's it's video game 2K stats where they have the sliders turned all the way up. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And to think that Chris Paul isn't playing. I mean, this Rockets team, to the most part, is identical to the team from last year, plus, a PJ Tucker and a Balamute. And then you still have the winner, the biggest offseason acquisition really yet to make his impact on the court. James Harden has quietly put up an MVP candidate type of season already after, as we know, losing last year and being possibly snubbed the year before. Currently, they're already beating my Pacers 35-20 at the start of the second quarter. So the offense, again, is just rocking and rolling. They're scary. And I think they shoot one of the – and actually, a fun stat I've learned before, that prior to 3 games ago, that the Rockets were only shooting 31%, had the worst three-point shooting percentage in the league.
And they haven't even hit full cylinder, and now all of a sudden it's going to start cooking. I got some more James Harden stats for you. So James Harden is the first player to hit 6 threes in 5 straight games. He's also the NBA leader currently in value over replacement player, box score plus minus, and win shares. Like you said, he's trying to work that MVP case early, and I think you mentioned they didn't change a lot, but the 2 pieces they added, and Chris Paul, who hasn't really played, Balamute and Tucker, are perfect fits for what D'Antoni likes to do. And Tucker's versatility defensively, they're willing to put him on centers all the time.
I mean, he's one of those guys who last year, for instance, when him and the Raptors had that little scuffle with Lance Stevenson and PJ Tucker walked over, I feared for Lance's life.
PJ Tucker is no joke.
A big dude. Yeah.
I think that was a good addition now. But like you just said, the toughness he brings to that squad. I'm a big James Harden guy, so I like seeing him have success. I like seeing the Rockets have success because I think they're one team that can compete with Golden State. I don't think they'll beat them, but they'd have a really fun series.
I said it last year, and I'll reiterate the same statement. The only threat to the Warriors is the Rockets. And I don't know if the Rockets can beat them, but the Rockets, I think, just have the best chance because their scoring ability is just so insane to the point where, the Warriors have to be perfect to a degree. Because their offense, to me, is way better than Cleveland's. And they have enough defensive pieces that they can be a little bit more defensive than Cleveland can ever be with Clint Capella, PJ Tucker, what's that? Trevor Ariza as well. And, James Harden, he's played better on the defensive end this year.
He has.
I've watched a few games. He had 4 steals, I think, in the first quarter against the Cavs the other night. He looks more engaged as an NBA player as a whole.
Better defenders around you. When you have a Tucker and a Bob Moute, 2 really good defenders, it's going to stick out a lot more when you play bad defense. So I think he knows Chris Paul's there too to call him out. So like we said, they don't even have Chris Paul right now. This is going to be a fun season for the Rockets. The big team, Golden State Warriors, quietly, the Warriors are back to dominating the league. 6 straight wins over 15 points.
And I think a couple of those games were close at halftime. They had that 44-point third quarter the other night to completely blow out. I can't remember who they played, but I know they had a 44-point third quarter. So I remember reading it and thinking in my head, that's absolutely insane. This is a team that's got, like we said, 3 superstars. They had a little bit of a championship hangover. I wasn't really panicking, but there's people. I know you weren't panicking, but there are people out there panicking. It just happens. You just got to get some flow. They didn't play much basketball together over the summer. You just got to remember that you got to share the ball, and you're all top stars in this league.
Yeah, and to be honest, like we said in the other pod, they're a little bit bored. When you're killing teams like they have for the last 3 seasons, when you play the good teams, it's a little bit easier to get up. They've already sat 7 fourth quarters this season. They've only played 13 games.
Crazy.
It's just like it's just their video game whole team. We're good with the Warriors. Do you think anything's going to change for them, or they're just going to keep getting better? Do you think they're going to hit a new level this season of greatness?
I don't know if they'll reach a new level of greatness because I think they're already great. I think if anything, they'll just keep sustaining greatness. You had that during the previous years. You had your skewed scale. The Warriors are a 10, and the nearest team to them is going to be an 8 in the Rockets. There is no 9. There is no team that is close to the Warriors at this point in time. And when you got Draymond Green almost getting triple doubles, Kevin Durant scoring around 30, Curry's averaging he's averaging one of his best assist totals in recent memory. They just look better. They're going to get better. I think they're just working on some things. They're adding new pieces in. Nick Young, Amari Caspi, Jordan Bell, who's been phenomenal. As that trade Chicago. What are you doing? They're just working on things. I think by the time we get to January, you're not going to want to play the Warriors at all.
Yeah, and like you said, adding the new pieces and just they draft Jordan Bell. They get a young guy who comes in and he's able to have a real impact on the game. Probably we'll see Klay drop 50 sometime this month. He's due for a huge game. What do you
keep picking in FanDuel?
You never mind drafting Klay Thompson because you're like, this could be the night he drops 60 and that wins me easy money.
Yeah, it's because even a bad Klay Thompson night is still 20 points, one or 3 assists, and then 2 or 4 rebounds.
Yeah, exactly. He's a pretty much a lock for 30 FanDuel points. He's someone I never mind taking. So, but the Warriors,
he's never expensive. Never expensive.
And I think the Warriors, I think they might hit a new level. I think they might go on some crazy winning streak this year. Some other goal for the season. And I think, going on 20 plus or 30 game winning streak, setting an NBA record or something would be something they might want to obtain. And they can do it while resting too, which is ridiculous.
I think, I'm trying to think of the last time a big winning streak occurred. I keep thinking, what was it, the Cavs or the Heat, where they had like 20
for the Heat. Second, I think most in sports history, maybe, or NBA history. I can't remember.
Right. Okay, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they try and beat that record, not because they care about like it being LeBron or anything, but instead of trying to win 75 games or set the all-time win record in the season, maybe you just play extremely hard for a stretch where you can probably win 30 games straight, set the all-time record in that, and then you go back to coasting until the playoffs begin.
Exactly, and like I said, they can do it with resting players. Like you said, they have Jordan Bell, they have Patrick McCaw, they added Nick Young, Caspi. They have some bench guys that can play a lot, Livingston, so they can do this without harming themselves. They're just an elite team, and you just want to see them kind of hit that highest capacity. But they might not have reason to, and they might just want to wait until the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, how many times last year did we see Curry and Durant and Clay like not even play the fourth quarter? It's this this team is just something that I personally have never seen before on an NBA scale. Even those Miami teams with Wade, Bosh, and LeBron, they were very good teams, but they weren't this level of greatness. They weren't even close.
I mean, in all of my time of watching sports, I really can't think of a team that really dominated like this every night for years. Like there's been teams that dominate for the whole year, like the Patriots almost had that undefeated season, but this team has been dominating for like 3 years now. So it's like almost every night you're picking the Warriors to be your favorite. Rarely are you picking them to lose.
I mean, just think about a few short years ago when it was Durant, Curry, and Thompson. We thought that team was possibly one of the greatest teams of all time, and then they add in Durant. Like how many great teams get even greater is another thing. Like all those MJ teams, they always had Pippen, Jordan, those last three, but they never had four big heads. Like the Warriors have four big heads.
And they keep adding more talent too. Like they're not getting complacent and they're drafting good young players, like I said, McCaw and Bell, and then offseason acquisitions. So, I mean, this is it's something like a lot of people hate the Warriors, but I think it's just easy to just be like, I got to appreciate them before they're gone.
Oh, I hate them. I hate them with a passion. But like you said, I understand what greatness is, and I know what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
and this is something that you can't just be like, oh, well, I don't like them, so I don't want to pay any attention to them. Like, no, you're doing yourself a disservice by doing that.
Exactly, and like most of the time when things are great, you hate them. When LeBron James faces your team and drops 40 and 10 and 10 and beats you in a Game 7 in the playoffs, much at that time, but you still know he's great. Same thing with the Warriors. They might sweep your team in the postseason, and you hate them for that moment, but they're great.
Yeah, greatness is something that you can see greatness.
So, but that wraps it up for today. As always, you can listen to the NBA Outlet on OTGBasketball.com, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and YouTube. Always thank everybody for listening.
Adios.